There we go. All right, we are live and
Hey
on
everyone,
Instagram in a sec.
as AJ's loading up Instagram, I'll say hi to everyone.
There we go. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Man, check out my view. Look at that. Right
Yeah,
behind me,
that's
some
pretty.
beautiful mountains. It is a gorgeous day here in Powder Mountain, and my buddy's house, Mike Geary, coming to you live. So, man, I wanted to jump into this conversation with you about presence, about the power of presence. I was snowboarding. My birthday was Sunday. Had an incredible storm up here, and the gift for myself was, first of all, the storm, the late snow, but also like time with some really special people in my life, and really digging and leading all the way to get better at snowboarding because I'm new to it. And I mean, I had the most incredible experience of being present in the snow, being present with myself, pushing myself to that next level. And then on some of the runs, just had some deep conversations about how amazing it is when we get outside and how we're just so present with the snow and our friends and being out in nature. And this quote popped up in my head, and I think I first got this from the Matrix movies, but also it's very powerful from a book called Tuesdays with Morrie, about life and death, and about that everything that has a beginning has an end, right? And that this human experience that we have, if we don't enjoy every single moment and squeeze as much as we can out of life, then things can pass us by, right? People die, death is a real thing, renewal and death of self, not just like physical death, but also death of emotions, death of our old version. So that's the foundation of the topic today, Dr. Cody.
Nice. I love that, man. I love that topic. That's awesome. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. So you called it the power of presence, embracing the now.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what direction do you want to start with this, man?
Well, I want to know, your practices, man. Like, as you've been through a lot in your life, you've been through a lot, you've some incredible health issues, you've been through life and death. And I think that it is really important for people to know that story at least and have this context. What was it in your life that helped you? Because you're a very present man. You're a very present guy. When I'm with you, you and I are there. And you're also one of those people where when you're with the person, I feel like I'm the only person in the room, right?
Ooh,
I have
wow.
that effect on people. I've been told that as well, but I
Yeah.
really see that in you, and I appreciate that with you. And you really help drop people into the now. Where did you learn that? And what are your ways of staying present? That would be helpful for everybody.
Yeah, I love that, man. Actually, it was funny as you were talking, as you were presenting the topic, that was actually what I was thinking was literally was in my mind was how present you are as a person.
Hmm.
You hadn't even said that yet, but you were just talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, I feel like, and I was imagining myself on the mountain having conversations with you, and I'd be like, yeah, I feel literally, I'd feel like I was the only person there. Same thing. Um, so obviously we're just mirroring, seeing that in each other. And so I don't know, not sure I ever had that awareness of self, right? Because I
Mm.
have this awareness of you, but you just gave that awareness back to me, and so I'm just sitting in that now, going on, and you were like, hey, how? So this is I think. Let me just say, from from 22 to 42, I was obsessed with understanding how the mind worked. And I taught metaphysical seminars for 10 years. I studied metaphysics and quantum physics. And I was very mental with it all. I could explain to you every universal law. I could explain to you how the mind works. I could explain to you emotions. And it wasn't until 41 when I was going to China and I got a parasite. I had multiple parasites, but long story short, parasites knocked out my immune system. The immune system allowed Lyme bacteria to start multiplying in my body, and then black mold set in. And so I was in bed for 6 months.
Wow.
And so what's interesting, this is an interesting part of the story, is how it relates to what you're saying is when you're sick for a week, it's pretty frustrating. Dude, you're like, I'm losing my life. But then week 2 comes by and you're like, dude, this is no way. But then week 3 and week 4, it starts screwing with your head, especially when you're someone who's like very go-getter and wants to go out and do things and blah, blah,
Active,
blah.
yeah.
So then month 2, month 3, you're like, what the? So you go through so many ups and downs that I went through every metaphysical textbook I could, every positive mindset book I could. All the stuff that I went through, I was like, okay, I want to get myself out of this. I read all the books. Didn't work. None of them worked. I mean, you got time. You're in bed for that much. I literally didn't walk for 6 months. And so you got a lot of time to watch stuff. I watched it all, went through all, wasn't working. So then I started praying to different deities because I wasn't a religious person, but you start becoming really religious when you get really sick. And so I started praying to Jesus and Buddha. And I was like, maybe I'll talk to Allah and Guatma. And
anybody who's listening.
Listen, but none of it worked. I was talking to all these people. None of them worked, dude. I mean, I went into everything, the Buddhist teachings. And finally, I'm like, I literally made a decision.
Yeah.
Fuck, nothing's working. No positive thinking's working. No conversations with some deity or anthropomorphic deity. Like, nothing's working. So that was it's very interesting because at that point, I started becoming really like, I don't want to live anymore. And when I started coming to that point, I wanted to kill myself. And this is an important part of this conversation because I was losing my identity. I lost my muscle. That's who I thought I was. My hair. I was so identified with my hair. Like that was starting to go, right? And I was like, I literally remember thinking, who am I without muscle? Who am I without hair? Who am I without my winning personality? And it was just like the most shocking thing. Who are we? We identify ourselves as all these things and we're none of them. And so the moment that I started becoming very present was the moment then that I decided to just drop into the darkness. And I stopped fighting death. And the moment I let darkness in is when light started coming back in. And that's when I started becoming more and more present. And so I think, and there's to weave all this together, there's one thing that was important. My businesses weren't important. I had helped thousands of people heal from disease at that point, and I couldn't help myself. Like, I mean, none of that shit was important. The cars, the relationships, all the stuff I had, none of it was important. The only thing I could think about was all the moments that I was with people and I didn't tell them I loved them. That was the only thing that was important. That was never a thought I even had before. So I think now, if we get really present and stop and be with people, I think that's what we naturally feel. Whether or not you like that person or not, I think love is always present. And I made fun of this fucking message of love. I totally made fun of like people talking about love is the answer, love is the thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I had a mentor. That was his big message, was love. And I just made fun of him for it until I realized he was right. And none of this matters. And so I think we feel the presence of love when we stop. It is the only thing that is consistent. It's always changing. And it's the only thing that's real. Your ups and downs are not fucking real. They're like you said, start, change, stop. Everything starts, it changes, and it stops. And I love how you said that is there's a book called The 5 Regrets. Very depressing book. It's a lady who spent 30 years in hospice with people who were dying. Okay. Wow. Something I would have never read ever. But when you're about your dying, you'll read all kinds of shit. Right. And so I read this book and there's 5 things that people said that she said, I spent 30 years with people dying. In the last few hours, here's what they said. And one of the first things was, I wish I would have lived the life that I wanted, not the life others wanted for me. And I think that there's a lot in that one statement because it's not like someone's forcing you on something, but it's you living in someone else's values. Right. You trying to be what someone else wants you to be. Right. So that was the big moments was, oh my gosh, if I come back, if I'm going to live, I will tell people I love them. And that's why you, my friend, when we've had our moments, I'm like, I can feel how much love you have because I know what it is. It's not good or bad. It's the most potent fuel on the planet more than anything. And it fuels everything. It is everything. We're breathing it. We're eating it. We're excreting it. It is everywhere. And when you tune into that thing, I think our moments are so damn fulfilling. Whereas before, I had a lot of moments with a lot of physical things and they were really empty. So.
Wow. Yes. This is why I wanted you to share that. Thank you. And what you've done is taken this this talk about presence and take them to the extreme, right? Sometimes people have to experience life and death scenarios, being bedridden to understand love and presence. But I also want to look at the other side of that. The you being bedridden caused you to be present with yourself. And sometimes it can be that painful. Sometimes it can be that long. 6 months in bed. I couldn't imagine that. I don't know if I've been in bed longer than 2 days, 3 days maybe being sick, but I could walk and all that, right? Like that's an extreme situation. So thank you for sharing that, because that shows a spectrum. And folks, we don't have to go through that. Now, some people, souls, maybe part of your journey to go through that. And
harder than others.
Right. Some learn harder than others. Some need a lot more pain, or they need to lose everything just to realize it. And that's part of the human experience. And that's beautiful. And that's why we want to do these conversations, is to remind everyone about the power of presence. So when I was snowboarding today, with some amazing masculine, amazing feminine, just like hanging out on the mountain, literally all day yesterday, especially because it was like so much snow. Even just like stopping, or after tumbling a little bit and getting back on, like that moment of just like sinking in, I was just feeling the most present I had been in a while. And it was beautiful. And my birthday and everything on Sunday was like, it's a brand new year for me. It's a brand new chapter in so many ways. So that I was feeling so much love for self, number one, love for who I am, where I'm at, everyone in my life. And the feeling that right where I was on that mountain with those people in that specific moment, each moment was like, this is exactly where I need to be. I had no other, right? That's part of being present, where exactly this is the only place I'm meant to be. I'm not mentally somewhere else. I'm not emotionally somewhere else. I'm not being dragged into a drama or another thing, like living someone else's life. And this is where it comes down to, in the present moment, can you just sink into your own self? I think that's really important. Like you talked about, is the authenticity in presence, right?
Yeah,
and that quote, right? The quote's awesome. I want to expand on that a little bit too.
Maybe we should do a whole episode on the 5 regrets of dying. Like
for sure. Because just the one is unpacking. That one is a lot, but the other 4 are really incredible. Yeah. And so what's the name of that book again? The 5 regrets.
It's called The Top 5 Regrets of Dying.
That's right. Someone who was in the hospice or something, right? Worked in the hospice.
30 years of working in hospice, 30 years of spending their last moments with thousands of people who basically died. Yeah.
Incredible. The other one is Tuesdays with Maury. It's a great book. Easy read. Okay. It's not that thick. One of my favorite quotes from that one is, you never truly learn how to live until you learn how to die.
Wow.
When you're around death, my dad passed 2 years ago. When I was in the room with him, literally, I felt his soul leaving his body. One of the most beautiful things out there, right? And a lot of people have fear around death. That's a whole nother topic. But like, part of being present is understanding that, look, everything that does have a beginning has then change and then an end. And if we don't remind ourselves in a loving, positive way, this is our chance. We're here in this human meat suit. It's time to be really present, be thankful for every single moment, because they do pass. And as you get older, I'm 44 now. The years tend to go a little faster. I don't know about you, but they definitely move faster than when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love your recognition of being present. I love that when you had said about, man, I know this is where I need to be. I was even thinking about this current moment. It's so easy because I had always, before I got sick, I had always lived. So feel into this. Yeah. There's people listening to this, is like, you can live now, or you can live 2 months from now, or you can live 2 months before. Like, literally, it's interesting to see where we are. And so when my business is like, when I go in the morning in my chiropractic office, our morning huddle, this is the first question I asked. All right, where are you guys? And the response was, I said, just be genuine. Where are you? And someone would be like, I'm here. Or someone would be like, honestly, I'm still driving in the car. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out, I didn't get enough eggs to eat this morning. Or I'm worried about this person coming in, right? Most of us not here. So just asking yourself, where are you? Like, I'm here. I was always 2 weeks or 2 months ahead. And your body will give you signs when you're not in it. It'll try to bring, and it tries to give you gentle signs, but it'll bring you pain to help you come back into this moment. So I love how you said that. It was like, man, this is exactly where I need to be. How often do we live our lives and we are not we're literally like not happy with where we are. I mean, I'd say is 90% of the time, that's where I have been in certain days. I'm like constantly trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And, no matter how much success I get, that's where I realized happiness doesn't come. It's just really interesting, right? And so it sets up a certain frequency where it's like, I'm never fulfilled with the moment. And so love how you said that of like, man, this is exactly where I need to be. And what a great presence. And just to acknowledge that, I think that's such a great skill set that I see in you of like, man, you make someone feel like they're right, they're right there with you. And I had never correlated the ability to actually, almost like, well, the process of almost dying and getting present with who I am to bring me back into presence with people. I really had never put that together,
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I love this topic. And for those of you, if you may be, and thank you for everybody joining. Like I see my buddy Garrett joined, and I've seen him DJ with my friend Cece, and like I've seen them perform. I see these DJs when like they're in the moment performing for hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
And when we're in that element, are you doing something? I'm asking this to everybody. Do you give yourself some time during the day to not just work, not just do your job, but to be present at something you just enjoy? When you lose sense of time, because let me say this, there is only the present moment. Future and past does not exist. It's only in our mind. It's only a construct, right? Yeah. We've talked a lot about constructs. And it allows us to have time as a tool. Time is not really real. It's a tool that we're able to use. And if you're not present and you find yourself in a present moment, in a past thought, in a past emotion, in a past whatever, as opposed to here, you're actually, the opportunity cost of not being present is massive, because you're literally in this moment, your thoughts, words, and actions are creating the future. So this is what I have to, bring my clients in all the time when we're doing a session. I make sure they are here, not in another dimension, not another timeline, not in another whatever, or a meeting that they were just stressed about. Be here now. And that way is the breath. But also, if you're in front of somebody, I like to make sure that I'm looking at their eyes, but not staring at just one for a long time. I look at the other one too. I want to look at their eyes. I want to look at the freckles on their face. I want to look at the things in their beard or their hair or whatever. But making sure I keep bringing it back to the eyes, because when you look at someone in the eye and you're calm and you're centered and you're there with them, it can be one of the most refreshing things. So anytime I'm flustered or stressed or like anxious or whatever, it's really interesting for me. I go reach out to a friend or a mentor or someone and just have a deep conversation, and I feel right as rain. I feel fantastic because I got that because people bring me into alignment for myself. So that's just one of my tips, is like being present, looking at the person. And sometimes things fly in, like little thoughts, things that are like things I got to go do. And I literally will, under the table sometimes or in front, just go like this, because I'm like, nope, that's done, and then push that away. I'm like, sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of some things in my thoughts. Right. I just like put a barrier up of like other stuff that they can't come in, so I can protect that present moment. So I really think that the power of presence is not just embracing the now, but also protecting the now from all the thoughts, words, and actions, the stresses and anxieties that can come up.
I was just feeling as you were talking, this concept of, so, you mentioned, well, you don't have to go through almost dying to get present. The question, asking yourself from time to time, where am I? I'm noticing I actually do that now. While I'm driving, where am I? I'm like, and just be honest with yourself. Like, I'm about to go pick up my daughter, but I'm already picking up my daughter in my head. I'm not actually driving to pick up my daughter. That's interesting. Like, ooh, where are you? I'm about to have sex. I'm having sex. Or am I actually in the process of wanting to have sex?
Yeah.
Because that'll throw this. Yeah. And why this is so important is because I'm seeing how, like you said, well, it's easy to say that the now is the only real moment. Mm-hmm. So what happens when you project yourself into the future, which doesn't exist, is you're just literally creating this timeline that's not real, but you're dispersing. Dispersing is probably the best way to put it. It's like an incandescent light bulb, which throws out light all ways, very haphazardly, or a laser, which takes all those wavelengths and puts it into one beam. That's what happens when you're present. you have all the resources available to you. I'm really feeling that. Like if you're present, like you have all the resources, meaning opportunities, ideas, options, ways to solve problems. You have more of those when you actually are present. When you're living last year or the year before or whatever it is, you literally are like an incandescent light bulb. You're putting your energy out everywhere. So when you like, I'm even feeling this with, it's been said that the only reason that someone gets into an accident is because they're not present in the moment. It's very interesting to think about that. Now you could say, well, someone hit me or whatever, but literally it's because you're not wearing your present hat as driving. You might be wearing your husband hat or your wife hat or whatever hat you're wearing, but you're driving in the wrong timeline, right? The timeline you've created for yourself.
Yeah.
So you have so much more resources. And so I was feeling that from the standpoint of effectiveness in your life.
Yep.
Like not dispersing energy, but actually utilizing your energy to solve problems and to advance physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It feels like being present in the moment would be the most effective way to actually harness all those energies.
Yeah. And I want to piggyback on that for a second to take a little bit deeper in that anytime we are feeling anxiety, it means that we're thinking in the future. We're creating things in the future that have not happened yet, right? How many times have you found yourself like thinking, stressing about something that literally has not happened yet? When you are doing though, you're also then creating that potentiality even more because thoughts are so powerful. So being very mindful, right? Come back to mindset. We come back to breath. Literally, if you find yourself feeling any anxiety in the body, Dr. Cody and I are always going to come back to what are you feeling in your system in that moment? If you're not here, then that means just a simple breath. And also, if everybody of you would just start to close your eyes and just rub your fingers together, and all you start to focus on is one thing. Start to focus on that what it feels like to rub your skin together. Feel every little piece of your skin, right? Or it's breathing. And literally just bring your focus on that sound and the breath going in your nose, passing over your lips or your beard if you have one, or your mustache, and just breathing in your, like feeling your expansion. Bring yourself back to presence. Can literally take seconds to adjust. Sometimes it takes a little more practice than that. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, but it's like breath and bring yourself back to presence can change everything and get you back so that you are making sure you're not creating loops and future things that then you have to deal with later on, right? Present you now is the one who's responsible for creating all that in the future. And you also working with your unconscious mind. What you're talking about when you're driving is that we get into the state of automaticity, right? We know how to drive, so we can safely get us to places. And if we're thinking anxious thoughts, or we're like, oh my God, I'm late, or we're rushing and all that, we start getting in the way of the automaticity. It can start creating events like potential accidents or things like that can happen if we're not being present. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it is the power of now. Another great book, right, by Eckhart Tolle. It's a must read. And like this time, so I want you to think about today from this talk. I want everybody listening to like think about, okay, asking the question like Dr. Cody said, where am I right now? Where am I right now? 2, taking a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, maybe take 4 or 5, and just resetting yourself just a little bit to get back on track for the next moment that's coming, and do your best to be in that state no matter what. And anytime you find yourself flailing or getting off, bringing it right back. It's really not a practice of, I love this one quote about, it's not about like meditation or doing mindfulness and presence isn't about the 1 hour or the 20 minutes or the 5 minutes you do the meditation. It's about doing the meditation in that moment and then bringing the meditation with you into life. Not just, oh yeah, I meditate then and then I'm like back in life. It's like, or you could also just sink into the deepness and the stillness that you have, bring that into your life, because you're gonna make better decisions. You're gonna have less stress. You're gonna be a better version of yourself if you just bring that stillness and that meditative state with you. And anytime it throws you off, that's your norm. Come back to this place, come back to alignment, come back to yourself in this present moment. So that's my call to action for today. How about you? Anything you want to challenge everybody with?
Yeah, that was really big, man. I was just feeling the correlation with one of our earlier conversations about when an emotion comes up, to go and sit in the emotion because it's like going to sit in the emotion really brings you in to presence. I just think that's the natural thing that it does. And so many of us, so many times I've done this too, where you're so busy, you're too busy to go sit in the emotion, which means you're probably not present.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
when we're trying to solve problems, I'm just feeling this, when we try to solve a problem, try to fix your relationship, try to fix your business, when you're not present, you are going to come up with solutions that are half-ass.
Yeah.
And when you stop and actually get present, feel what's there. It's been said that this is an interesting piece, that the question and the answer has a similar frequency, meaning you have a question, but if you let yourself get present, you can actually get into the frequency of the answer to the question. Sometimes the answer comes before the question. I've had that before. I'll get something come in and I'll get the question. But when you are living at a different timeline, you're not in the resonance of what you're asking for. And so I think that's a really big thing. I love that call to action is ask where I am. Can you get present with this thing? This can take like 5 seconds to do that. But my call to action and for people is before the next thing you try to figure out, before the next conversation with your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, kid, or before the next time you try to solve a problem in your business that is really bugging you, can you ask where I am, get present, and see if you can get in the vibration of the question and answer at the same time.
I love it. No, I absolutely love that. And if you're, so thank you for the call to action on that. I want to just wrap up and say thank you again for being present here with me. Thank you for doing this with me, and everyone, thank you for being present here with us. If you go and do a check-in today, just go do some comments down there. Like, so how was your quick check-in? How was your realignment after feeling anxiety or stress or worry or any of that stuff? Like, let's add to the comments here, please, as much as you can. And join me tonight at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for the $1 Million Breath Experience. Every Wednesday, I do these virtually. We had an incredible group last week, and we definitely went to different dimensions, but we stayed present with it, which was really cool. So join me tonight if you want to, and then join Dr. Cody and I generally most of the Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 11:30 most of the time, but we generally post it as well. So any last words, any last thoughts?
Last thought I have is we started doing these lives and I didn't actually realize not only how much I enjoyed them, but this also, honestly, it's fun to do, but it gives me time to actually see you and spend time with you. And I'm like, man, if that's all that we got, it'd be worth the whole thing. I love bringing everyone else online and having these conversations, but I feel like it's almost like an inspiration for, so we're so busy in our lives, and I found that life is really not that fulfilling, truly, unless you've got people to share these things with. So thanks for sharing this time and this moment and being present with me, man. Appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thank you, brother. Everybody, thank you for being here with us. Until next time, have an amazing day and stay present.
See you, everyone.
Bye.